name is Katie, and I am the program coordinator here at Teen Treks. Welcome to our bike touring educational series. Tonight our topic is preparing teen families for the basics of bike touring. So we're going to do a nice overview of what it is from start to finish to be on a bike tour. Madell is our executive director of Teen Treks, and he also is the founder of Teen Treks. Teen Treks started in 2001, so we've been operating for about 20 plus years. The organization is based in Buffalo, and we are the largest teen travel camp that specializes specifically in bike touring, and particularly self-supported or self-contained style of bike touring.
Hosteling and bike touring started out in Germany before in the 1930s. A school teacher wanted to get inner city kids out into the country, and he used to start with these trips. He used to put kids on bicycles and they'd go traveling in the country and they'd stay in hostels. So bike touring is basically carrying your gear on the back of your bike and going out and seeing the world. Self-contained is when you're carrying all your gear. Often kids groups do self-contained as opposed to adult groups that stay in hotels and have a van alongside. So in a self-contained trip like Teen Treks, we don't have a van. The group is traveling independently by themselves. The trip leaders and the 10 kids participants that are on the trip are all carrying their own gear, and they're carrying the group gear. So we'll start with a bicycle. A bicycle would be either a touring bike, a road bike. Those are the ones with drop handlebars and 21 speeds or more. Could be a hybrid bike, which would have a straight handlebar in the front and would have maybe a little thicker tires. On the back of the bike, you're going to have a rack. On top of the rack, you're going to put your panniers, which are these saddlebags, one on each side. And that's where you put all your clothes, and you'll also put your camping gear, and you'll put some group equipment. Every participant on the trip, both the leaders and the kids, do carry some group equipment. You need a sleeping bag because almost all of our trips do camping, and you need a foam pad or some kind of sleeping pad to be underneath you. And you need all your personal gear. Of course, you're gonna have a water bottle. You're gonna have 2 water bottles on the bike, and you're gonna have a bicycle pump. That would be the basic equipment. Teen Treks provides all the group equipment. We provide the tents for our trips. We provide the pot sets, which is a big pot set that feeds 10 people. And we provide the stoves, as well as first aid equipment, things like that. That's the group equipment. We do have, when you're traveling with 10 kids and 2 adults, you're keeping 10, 12 bikes rolling. There is a bunch of bike mechanics that's done on a trip. Typically, of course, people do get flat tires on a bike. The trip leaders are not expert mechanics, but they're decent mechanics, and they can do a lot of the on-road maintenance that's required, like flats, doing adjustment of gears, putting chains on, adjusting brakes. So our trip leaders do a lot of those kind of things. No doubt, we stop in bike shops probably every day for things that we need. Parts break, things break on a bike, and it's beyond the ability of the trip leader, and we need to have a mechanic that has a full range of tools and parts. I think that's kind of one of the unique things about Teen Treks when we started in 2001. Our trips really just kind of start in thin air. In other words, we start at a transportation hub in almost all cases. It could be an airport, it could be a train station, it could be a bus station, because we do start mostly in cities. The trip starts, and then the group is going to hop on a train or a bus to get out of the city, and then they're going to bike. So kids either get dropped off at 8 o'clock in the morning and our trip begins at some kind of park near a transportation hub, Or our kids come by public transportation. They might fly, they might take a train, they might take a bus to the trip. And in that case, they come the day before. And we call it our pre-night option. Before 9 o'clock, kids are packing up tents or cleaning up the hostel or cleaning up the hotel room, whichever accommodation they're staying in. And by 9 o'clock, they're going to be ready to go on the road. They will have had breakfast as a group and they're ready to go on the road. They'll bike, a typical day will be they'll bike for 2 hours in the morning, 2 or 3 hours in the morning. They might make several stops. They might find interesting things to see. They might have, sightseeing on their agenda that day. They might just stop at pastry shops and have a morning pastry and coffee, a coffee shop. They might stop at a farmer's market, in which case they'll maybe shop for lunch as well as get some snacks. So they'll bike generally till almost noon, and then they'll go to a supermarket and they will buy lunch, and they'll find a nice picnic spot for lunch. It'll be in a park or near water or some picnic spot for lunch, and the group will have a group lunch. They might play some games and hang out, play frisbee and stuff, a little bit after lunch, and then they'll hop on their bikes again. They'll bike for several hours in the afternoon. Again, they'll break it up with either sightseeing events. They'll break it up with stops to do interesting things. They'll get right, they'll have like an ice cream stop. They might stop in a coffee shop still. They'll stop and do either, again, historical or touristy kind of things, or geographic kind of things. Along the road, just as you're traveling, there's always things that are interesting to see. And the group will kind of just progress during the day. Usually around 5 o'clock, they stop at a supermarket and will buy dinner. And the group will go back to a campsite or to staying in a hotel. They'll probably go to a restaurant. And they'll cook dinner. The other kids will set up tents or prepare, or if it's a hotel, they could go swimming in the pool. After dinner, the group will have some group activity, and then there was like a night meeting. The whole group will get together, before they go to bed, they'll review the day and talk about the good things and bad things that happened during the day and how the group can work better together to make the experience a better experience the next day. And they go to sleep. Usually 2 or 3 days before the end of the trip, the trip leaders will call all the parents and just coordinate the pickup of the transportation home for each trekker. So our trips often end. A lot of our trips end at like 5 o'clock at a set spot. Usually, again, at a transportation hub. Those kids that are getting picked up will get picked up. The parents will take their bicycle. They usually just put it on a bike rack in the back of their car. But there are kids that flew in for the trip, and they're obviously going to fly home for the trip. Or likewise, it could have been a train, or it could have been a bus. The leaders after 5 o'clock will take the kids to the airport or to the bus station, the train station. The leader will pack up the bike, and with the trekker, the two of them will pack up the bike and in a box or bag, and prepare for their transportation home, and the leader will drop them off at the airport. Drop them off at the airport and see that they get on the plane.